Hello and welcome to Zim Insight. Please do not forget to subscribe and share this video. Today we'll be discussing about the current situation in Zimbabwe, the current affairs, and the current political environment. So, with the dire economic and political environment in Zimbabwe, citizens are bound to listen to any voice that arises and soldier behind that voice. So, one such voice that has sparked a lot of recognition of late is that of Geza, who is a man who is not campaigning to be president or a member of the parliament. And unlike many political figures, he's not seeking recognition, wealth, or status. He does not boast about being a war veteran, a former CIO, or an MP. Instead, he speaks with a sense of urgency and he knows his time on earth, age-wise, is limited. And according to him, he wants to set things right for the next generation. So what sets Geza apart is his willingness to confront the truth. He has openly admitted and apologized for being part of a system that led to Zimbabwe's destruction. He has apologized for being as part of a system that is situated around corruption, nepotism, embezzlement of funds, etc. So, unlike many who remain silent or in denial, he acknowledges his mistakes. So, his message is simple but powerful. He says Zimbabwe needs to be fixed, not for us, but for those who come after us. At first, the citizens' focus was on Geza's calls for the removal of the president and government. But very quickly, the conversation has shifted. Now the debate is no longer about removing a government. It became a debate about leadership or the lack of it. Yes, because in as much as Zimbabwe has a president, there is no clear leadership in Zimbabwe. Because what are we being led to? So the real question now is, who do Zimbabweans want removed? In a country where political accountability is rare, Geza's honesty is both refreshing and controversial at the same time. So you find that many applaud him for his courage, for urging people to join forces on the 31st of March, and while others are questioning his motives and the group that is behind him. Some are arguing that he's from the unit of Kasukuwere, where he's being currently held. And then others are questioning if his voice is of genuine reform or is another chapter in Zimbabwe's long history of political maneuvering. So the reality is clear. Zimbabwe's future depends on those willing to confront the truth and take responsibility. As the nation watches and debates, one thing is certain, though, the conversation has now begun because everyone is joining forces for a better Zimbabwe. So you find that many people are disappointed in Chamisa because people invested their energy and invested their resources in Chamisa during the 2023 election. The people of Zimbabwe did not invest in Welshman Mnangagwa or Tendai Biti or any other opposition leader, but on Nelson Chamisa. So people now look towards Chamisa to speak up, to at least say something in this situation. And he continued to promise and change after the 2023 elections. And even before the 2023 election results were announced, he promised the people that he had the backup of SADC, and he reassured people that help was on the way. And now those same people are looking at him, waiting for the next move. But you find Chamisa is very silent in this situation. ruzhinji rwezimbabwe rwakuita ruchirasa tariro kuti angatungamirira ndiani. Vamwewo vanokatyamarana naNelson Chamisa uyo akanyarara chaizvo panyaya idzi dzematongerwo enyika. Pari zvino vaChamisa vave kutozivikanwa nekungorava magwaro nekupa kurudziro kuruzhinji rwezimbabwe kuti rusununguko ruchauya, and ruchauya through redemption and in a righteous way. So many people fail to understand why people are so angry towards Chamisa. But if Chamisa wanted to lead an uprising, he would have done so, because he has more followers than all these politicians combined. If he were to call for a mass action, the streets would be literally on fire. And that's the reality, because people love Chamisa. And after the death of Morgan Tsvangirai, people saw Chamisa as the savior and the one who was going to lead the people to change. So the high expectations that are placed on Chamisa are based on what the people believed in. So the March 31 protests, known as M31, was expected to be a defining moment in Zimbabwe's political landscape. Initially, the movement gained momentum on social media, with thousands of Zimbabweans voicing their frustrations over economic hardships, governance issues, and political repression. And you find people were listening to the voices of Cde Nyokayemabhunu, etc. And you find that any person who came forward with a voice of hope, the people were willing to listen. When the day arrived, major cities like Harare, Bulawayo, and Gweru saw a mix of peaceful demonstrations and violent clashes. Security forces were deployed heavily, which led to mass arrests and reports of injuries. And the current arrests in Harare alone currently sit on 95 citizens. So it leads one to wonder if the protests achieved its goal. So that's the big question that is surrounding the M31 protest. That in as much as the movement amplified public anger, there was no clear leadership. And there were no structured demands and no unified strategy. The people were addressed, they were told to march, they were told to stay away, the people stayed away, and the people joined forces in the streets. But the big question remains, was the protest an achievable movement? So the government dismissed the protests as an act of lawlessness, while opposition figures remain divided on the next steps on what to really rule out of the March 31 protests. So the M31 movement started with bold declarations. The idea was to mobilize people for action, to challenge the system. But like many political movements in Zimbabwe, its progress has been met with internal divisions, shifting goals, and leadership questions. What started as a clear call for change has now turned into a deeper debate about who should lead the movement forward, which then brings me to my next question. Who do the Zimbabweans want as their leader? So the citizens hoped General Chiwenga would take over, or at least address the nation, even after the 31st movement. The people wanted General Chiwenga to just at least speak a voice of reason, a voice of encouragement. But his silence has led to a lot of speculations. If Chiwenga's closest allies are turning against him and accusing him of cowardice, then the situation could become more dangerous for him. Because in Zimbabwean politics, power struggles often lead to accusation of treason, especially when military figures lose trust in each other. So you find that even the announcement of Sanyatwe's new position in the parliament sparked a lot of speculations around the political arena. If Chiwenga is perceived as weak, his rivals could see him as a liability and move against him, which would then lead him to being isolated. And in the political arena, one does not need to be isolated. One needs allies to survive. In the event that something happens, you will need a backup somehow. You need a chain of allies coming from an inner circle of the most significant allies, getting out of the circle to a general others, the general allies. So in the event that he is the people around him, the people around Chiwenga are losing confidence in him, this will lead to a mere situation of him being isolated. And being isolated means his allies are losing confidence in him, and he might find the situation very dangerous. So on the other hand, if he's quietly planning something, his silence might not be weakness, but one has to hope that it is a calculated move to strike at the right time. So the real question now is, will he act before it's too late, or will his inaction lead to his downfall?